Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships League of Legends Analysis Desk. I said it.
Yeah. It's a mouthful.
It is. Also, before I just want to quickly mention, I've got a bit of a cold, so I apologize ahead of time for my nasally voice and if I cough or anything like that. Sorry about that. Fnatic versus Millenium coming up next. I'm really excited. Fnatic, one of the strongest teams right now in all of the LCS for sure. And Millenium is going to pull out something special and surprise them. I know it.
A lot of people call Millenium the strongest team outside the LCS. Don't know how true that is. We haven't seen them play for a long time. IEM are also here, and they are a very strong team, and they are a very consistent team. They've been together for a long time.
I want to talk about Millenium as well, because when we see them qualifying for the LCS about a month and a half, 2 months ago, the players were playing the signature champions. Anguish got his Jax multiple times. Tabs got his Fizz multiple times, and they couldn't really make it work for them. I mean, they had the champions that they are most well known for, and they seemed a bit lackluster. Now, they've had a few months to watch the other teams, the other players coming into this, and they're playing against Fnatic, who, arguably have been, outperforming what many thought in the LCS. And this is now the time to shine. This is now where they have the ability to step up and say, well, we've seen what they've been playing. We know what we can do to counter it. And, do you expect them to be able to do that?
That's what I was going to say. What we saw from Millenium and LCS was 5 very skilled individual players. We didn't see a team.
Yeah.
Their cohesion wasn't there. Their communication didn't seem to be there. It never really worked. Now, they'd only been together 3 weeks to a month back then. Now they've had an extra 2 months to train up. They've had, as we mentioned time and time again, the time to just study Fnatic. They've all been in gaming house. Millenium do have one, despite not being LCS team. They have a gaming house. So they've been living together. They've been bonding. They've been training. They've been playing. Fat Mama, who was originally their coach and sub, when Heidel then left, has now become a full-time player. But they have had that authority figure, so to speak. I believe he's still taking the coach role into account. So they've got some form of training schedule. They should have a lot more teamwork in this. And if they're given those favoured champions again, or any new favoured champions they may have brought out, I think Fnatic could be in for a run for their money.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good game. I mean, we have all 10 players in the lobby right now. We're just waiting for a few technical things to get resolved before we jump into this matchup. I mean, Fnatic, so as Cyanide, Peke, Yellow, and Enrated, we've been seeing them so many times, and you'd have to think that they're the favourites for this game.
I think so, and I think that we're going to see Peke backdoor something, right? Because isn't that just how he rolls now?
Yeah, I think we hear hints of 4-man teleport, and they're just going to run raid boss Volibear defending mid turret, and then 4-man backdoor.
Well,
something along those
talking
lines.
about Volibear, I mean, we've seen him in the previous matchup. We know that Cyanide has played Volibear a number of times, and depending on his opponents, depends on his summoner spell choice, because he's run a teleport smite Volibear.
He loves that teleport smite combo.
It's a scary combo. It's a confident combo, because you're pretty much giving away any sort of natural escape that you have in the jungle if you do get caught out at low health or anything. But it allows you so many more options to set up ganks, to get map control and get presence,
We've seen a couple of times in LCS, he doesn't even use the teleport. He starts channeling it. The enemy backs off of his top lane or his bottom lane, whoever it is. He cancels the teleport, carries on jungling. It's enough. It just forces them away. As soon as they see that come in, as soon as the call goes over their team, teleport. They back off. That's done. That's the disengage. I mean, normally for a jungler, you need to be close by to appear, show yourself, to do that counter gank. Here, just quick click of the button.
On the same token, Xpec has run a lot of teleport as well in these compositions. So not only when you see that teleport, you've got the psychological effect of who is it, which one is it. You then start questioning: is this going to be a teleport from Xpec's Katarina, or is this going to be a teleport from a giant, fluffy honey bear? Because the two different ganking powers is scaled differently on scariness.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to make that judgment call. If you do keep the fight in, you get it the wrong way around, you got a bit of a problem. But Fnatic have a very large champion pool. That being said, you mentioned Peke's Katarina. We've also gone about his Kassadin, which we saw, of course. Yeah. IEM Katowice. No one can forget that Kassadin. The game against SK. I mean,
my ears are still ringing, as a matter of fact, from being there. Yeah.
You were on the StarCraft stage on that one.
I was. That other game.
It was loud. It was loud.
It was incredible.
I mean, it was
goosebump giving loud to everyone.
7,000 people or something in the audience.
There was 13,000 people in the building, 10,000 live in the stadium, and then there was 3,000 people watching League out in the snow outside on a big screen because they couldn't get into the building. it was really off the chain.
I heard nice. I heard the event organizer actually organized some barrels and just put in like a wood fire just to try and keep the guys warm outside. But I mean, that's dedication.
I think that's something more common in Poland, I was told afterwards. But my impression of that comes from North America, where you see homeless people huddled around those metal bins, and they burn whatever they can to stay warm in the winter.
It's dedication. Dedication.
That was the league players in Katowice. They were just huddled around. It was worth it, man.
Yeah, it was worth it.
It was awesome, and I mean, it was one of the most spectacular matches. Katowice in particular had, I think, one of the most explosive finishes to a tournament. You know, we touched on it so much in the previous game because, of course, you know, CGN's Blaze was one of the teams that was there, but it was Gambit Gaming that stole the show with their 2-0-2-0. I think we're going to see them later in the day, game 4, game
Gambit
5.
Yes. As we said, we have a rematch of that Katowice final. We have Blaze versus Gambit game 4. So
in the group stage. I mean, if you just think about this, scary, the rematch of the grand final in the group stage here at the World Championships. It's terrifying.
That's this tournament. They're right there.
Yeah.
The fact that you can see that, the fact that that's coming up so soon, shows you how epic our playoff stages and the later rounds of this tournament is going to become.
Well, there's something I want to touch on about Millenium, because we have talked about Fnatic quite a lot. We know the players, and we know, you know, they've come from different backgrounds. They you know, partially used to be Eclipse here, partially used to be Curse or LoL Pro as it was known, and of course Fat Mummy, he's come from Team Black. Bacon Lovers are crazy cool, where he actually played, a really cool name. He played in New York at the MLG Summer Arena, so he has actual experience. He's played against Azubu Blaze from the very first time they actually played in a Western tournament. Black didn't do very well at the event, unfortunately, but he's got the experience. He's got the ability to draw from that and say, well, this is what I've seen them doing then, this is what I've seen the American players doing. I've been in X, Y, Z teams, and you know, this whole wealth of knowledge becomes a cook pot for, you know, hopefully great things.
As you said, there's a lot of teams outside the SS now, a lot of new coming teams, but Millenium have all got LAN experience. They have all been around for quite some time. They've all played on big stages. You say Curse.eu, Angus, they're playing on the Gamescom stage, which was a massive crowd in Cologne a couple of months back.
All right, we're ready with the team sheets. First, we're going to bring up Team Millenium. We'll take a closer look at each of the individual players. The graphic up there.
Yeah.
I'll take this quick moment to point something out. Haven't pointed out yet. There's an MVP award at the Intel Extreme Masters. We always have an MVP award. And so you can go on, I think it's facebook.com/IEM, and you can vote for the MVP. And the MVP player, as determined by the fans, wins some pretty cool stuff. There's a whole prize package from all the main sponsors.
Make sure you watch the games, because that poll is going to be open close towards the end of the event as well.
Saturday the poll closes.
So check that out. And of course, there you go. Fnatic players, I mean, who doesn't know them at this point? So as Cyanide, Xpeke, Yellow Star, and Enrated.
Peke, who has an MVP hoodie from Katowice.
Yes,
for reasons which are pretty obvious.
I carried Katowice on the back of my teleport Riftwalk Kassadin, you know. So
but he doesn't have a custom painted BenQ monitor yet.
No one does. I am very jealous.
Nobody does yet.
But
they exist. You should see these things. They're pretty cool.
I do believe we have a video of that coming out a couple of times during the day. So
yes,
you can see that. Just stick around and watch the stream.
Well, let's check out Millenium. Of course, this is the usurper to the throne, as it were. It is, of course, Anguish in the top lane. I'm So Fresh, Tabs, Cretin, and Fat Mama.
Kraton has become Korean. That's news to me.
That last name's
they've been away for a couple of months. Maybe he's been changing his roots up a little bit.
Maybe he leveled up his game.
Maybe he has. Captain Jack, watch out.
Oh yeah. So you know, it's gonna be good to see how these guys go. We do have all 10 players in the lobby, so we're just, you know, waiting for the final moments to get in here. Do you expect to see a Fizz ban? Or a
I'm going to say
ban?
no, just because it's Fnatic and because it's Peke. I think they might be confident enough with it, but it is still Tabs.
It is.
It would be brave. It would be very cocky, so to speak, for them to do it. But it's their first game. It's a big group stage. Do they want to risk it?
See, the thing is, it's one of these tough decisions. Whenever you come up against a player like Tabs, who is like so insurmountably well known for his Fizz play, it's always a threat. There's always a key.
Yeah.
And it becomes a question of, am I confident enough in knowing how we can counter it? Or do we just ban it and then risk having to counter something we don't know?
I was going to say, you got to look at, there's a lot of other ban-worthy champions. We saw Xin Chao, Jarvan in their previous game, Thresh is in there, Kale's in there. If you ban Fizz, you're going to have to leave one of these other overpowered champions open.
Let's say strong.
Strong, yes. They are incredibly strong champions. And you're going to have to leave it open if you ban Fizz. Is it worth it? Is Fizz really that strong himself? Yes, Tabs is really good in it. But could you stop that? what can you do? What kind of strategy can you run against it?
It's one of those risky things because Fizz is, just an assassin champ. So if he gets ahead early, it's difficult to come back because once you start being killed by an assassin and he can one-shot you, what do? But as soon as you fall behind with those assassins, then you're in a pickle because if you cannot burst your enemy down, they simply survive your damage and say, thank you very much, we'll now take you out because you got no more cooldowns.
I mean, Fizz does have a couple of weaknesses. I don't want to overplay him here. He doesn't have the greatest wave clear early on. I mean, you can max your E. I'm not sure exactly what Tabs is going to do this game. He's tried a couple of different strategies in different tournaments, so it doesn't make sense. Then there's some good wave clear. But ultimately, you could outpush him, especially early on. It's not the easiest to last hit under tower. Sometimes he's going to completely use that Q to last hit and put himself way out of position. You could abuse that. But he is one of the champions that can work very well with a teleport. And we know Peke loves to run teleport. We know Fnatic loves to run teleports. So he can do just that to counter it. I mean, Twisted Fate, we saw it banned in the last game, but it's a common pick against Fnatic because if he's left open, Peke going to teleport, follow him.
Exactly.
Follow him. Would save that summon a spell. Tabs, he's not known for his Twisted Fate play, but he can play it. So if it comes down to it, that may be an option. As we said, they've also been training the last couple of months. They will have tried a lot of new things. That could be one of the things on his roster. So
we have no idea.
Yeah, it's all been kept secret. We did try and speak to him. We did try and find some things out, but they are keeping it very hush-hush. They are quietly confident. You can see it on their faces as we start to ask, what have you got planned? What have you been training? But they wouldn't tell us a word, so we're just going to have to wait and see what it is. But it does look like they're almost there. Everyone giving the ready calls in chat.
All right, well, the game's almost about to start. We're almost about to go to picks and bans. Personally, strategically, I think predictability is a weakness. I would go with assume he'll take Fizz, lure him into taking Fizz, run a strong counter combo, shut him down.
It's definitely a possibility, especially coming from a team like Fnatic, who did, I'm going to go on a limb here, a similar strategy to Evil Geniuses a couple of weeks back, where they pretty much went, okay, we're going to pick a Blitzcrank early, force you to think that's going to be support. Then a couple down the line going to go, all right, well, now we're going to lock in Leona as a surprise right at the end and say, well, doesn't matter how you try to escape, one of our champions is going to lock you down and will pick up kills. And they played that composition to perfection. So
it was a beautiful combination of both those champions. Leona would stun Anivia, lock it down, grabbed him with Blitzcrank, burst. That was every fight. Locked up Anivia with Leona, grabbed back in with Blitzcrank, and then they had enough burst to get through, which was beautifully played. But we are into Champion Select on Fnatic versus Millenium.
Yeah, we finally have all the players in the game. The first ban not quite up yet. Waiting to see what it is.
Fine. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. It's European. We've seen it in LCS the last couple of weeks. Instant Fizz ban return from Fnatic. So there's that discussion gone. But Vi, very strong jungler. Lots of damage, and she has a lot of different build paths too.
Yeah.
And with that great initiate, with that Vault Breaker into Assault and Battery, you can engage from a long range and from out of vision too. I mean, we've seen Malphite Unstoppable Force from over walls, in cliffs, out of bushes. Vi can do a very similar thing. So you got to be on your toes whenever she's about. And she's pretty good 1v1 against enemy junglers too, so she can counter jungle quite well. She's a very well-rounded, powerful champion that we've seen a lot of in Europe.
Misfortune ban. I don't see that one too often. Are they that afraid of the ult?
Yeah, it's pretty much, that's a targeted ban for Yellow Star, and it's a comfort ban. Leona is what Enraged is most well known for at the moment. Oh, take a look at this. First pick Thresh, insta-lock as well. I just want to quickly touch on the bans very, very quickly. Leona Misfortune, it is targeted at Yellow Star and Enraged. It's been their sort of go-to champions in the LCS so far, and Yellow Star has had some just mind-blowing performances. It has been linked with the rest of his team as well. When they played against Evil Geniuses, I think it was, the reason he survived so many times is because of the interventions from Cyanide's Kayle. So there was a number of factors involved, but Yellow Star's been playing MF a lot. The other side, the respect ban of Fizz taking out the pool. Xin Zhao just so powerful and strong right now, and Kayle, of course, to round it out. We touched on Thresh. We're most likely going to see that being played by Fat Mummy in the support role. There's a couple of people who are playing him as an AD carry, or even Soaz was playing him top lane as an on-hit scary Thresh.
It's certainly a thought, and of course every time he kills a creep he's going to get sold, he's going to get stronger, he's going to get more armor, so in the top lane against armor champs it's going to be there, but yet to see it properly refined and worked out. So I mean, it could
we haven't seen it, we just want to mention it in case it happens.
Exactly, it's there, but immediately we saw Cyanide there pick his volley bear and go teleport. Done. Teleport's fine, no surprises, what we expected. Cyanide straight in with that. So as himself is sitting on teleport, that can still change. He obviously isn't going to play Caitlyn in the top lane, but we have seen from Fnatic Caitlyn in the mid lane. It is something we've seen out of Peke, so I don't want to rule her down to an AD carry role just yet.
The reason that Caitlyn was playing the mid lane that particular time, it was to counter Anivia. You know, Ocelot logged in Anivia, playing for SK, and it was just a counter. And there was a very funny joke that happened after that event where Ocelot said to Froggen, what would you do? And Froggen said, I would probably suicide. It's just everything about Caitlyn, it just counters Anivia in the lane and phase so difficult. So and we do see Rumble and Varus has been locked in. So Rumble so far 2 for 2 in terms of stream 1 here. A little bit surprising, I think, for all of us. We weren't really seeing that as a first pick type of champion.
Yeah, the ban really surprised me. The pick not quite as surprising. Still thinking about Caitlyn's 650 range. That's where my brain's at. Level 1 650 range. Oh, leaning against her is brutal.
It is. There's a Sona, I guess it's the same lane we saw last game from Blaze, Sona Caitlyn. We saw a lot of poke coming out of that. They took that bottom tower very, very early on. That, I'm going to go on a limb and say is a Soaz top lane.
Yes, now Lee Sin is an interesting lock in here as well because we've seen Soaz running it on the weekend, actually, over Super Weekend. And
he was the first.
Well. Yeah.
Soaz was the first to put Lee Sin in the top lane and show everyone quite how powerful he was. And that's something that Soaz loves to do. We saw it at Blitzcrank, we saw it. He did the Kha'Zix first, he did the Lee Sin first.
Speaking from experience as well, Lee Sin versus Rumble can definitely go in Lee Sin's favor so well. Although with the Nunu Cog, Nunu jungle, Cog more Thresh bottom, like Cog maybe AP Cog. It could be AP Cog.
Could be AP Cog, could be AP Varus, to be honest too. He has got some AP ratios, he's got a very strong AP ratio on his W ability actually. Every auto attack doing some magic damage, then proccing that extra damage with his E or with his Q, whichever he wishes. But I would be more leaning towards Cogmore AP.
It is interesting. What Millenium have done right now is they picked a bunch of champions that could have the ability to go sort of anywhere at the moment. Nunu, if he is going to be going into the jungle, is a little bit different because it is 2.02, so he's not quite as powerful as he was a couple of weeks back, but still very, very difficult to get away from in ganks. And you can see with 40 seconds on the clock for the last pick, Fnatic are going, whoa, 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 whoa. What do we do now?
And there is a lot of zone control in that Millenium team. You got to look at Rumble Ultimate, straight down, big, long, slowing field that does AoE damage. Kraton, or not Kraton at the moment, but it would probably be Fat Mama, I suspect, on that support. Nunu running with his AoE Ultimate on Nunu, big AoE slow plus damage. Thresh with that box, massive slow in that AoE as well. So if you fight in a jungle, if you are in those tight spaces, it's going to be very hard to get away from this Millenium team. But Peke going to go and blink all over the place instead of just run, which will counter all those slows.
Cogmore's not going to be able to kill Peke. It's that simple. He's going to have Rift Walk up. The cooldown is a little bit higher, of course, than the Living Artillery, so, you know, Cog will be able to spam it. But all Peke is going to do is silence him, prevent him shooting out any more ultimates, and then just Rift Walk away to safety. The thing that I'm very impressed by or surprised by right now is Enrated is still currently sitting on Teleport as we near the last few seconds of the picks and bans.
That, I'm leaning to believe it. Now, Millenium can't see the summon spell yet, neither can Fnatic. They cannot see their opponent's summon spell until they get into the load screen. So there's no reason to wait on those incorrectly until the last second, unless it's literally what you want to go for. I mean, we have seen a couple of spectate bugs where it will not change till the last second, but we're about to find out. If he does use it, teleport ganks from Sona once she's 6 can be very powerful.
Very. All right, well, the players in the game has started. 3, 2, 1. We are ready, throwing it over to the casters. This time we have Joe Miller again, and he's joined by Jason Kaplan. Good luck, have fun.
So here we go then, Fnatic versus Millenium. Jason, we've got the picks in. Who's your strongest? Who's your favorite in this one?
I'm going to have to say it's pretty one-sided here. Just having that mid lane, Kasten, Xpeke playing him versus the Kog'Maw. What can Cog really do at level 6? Not too much. And not to mention, we were talking about Nunu. He was nerfed recently. Well, not recently. I think it was 3.0.1. And he's just slow in the jungle. His attack speed buff is going to be kind of nice. But in the end, he's not the same champion he used to be.
Far from it, I think we can say there. So we are going to dive into game then. Really interested to see how this one's going to go down. Of course, Fnatic right now doing very, very well in the European LCS. Millenium, well, they're not even in the European LCS. They obviously didn't make it through the qualifiers in Warsaw. So this is a real chance for them to show what they're made of.
Yeah, I mean, we have Fnatic 8-3 right now, second place overall in Europe. That's with teams like Evil Geniuses, with Gambit, who are all here today, and not to mention SK. They have the name made for them. They've been playing extremely well these past couple of weeks. They had a real iffy week, I'd say, this last one over in the Super Week. But, you know, Millenium, they have something to prove here. They didn't get into LCS. They played against Fnatic before at Intel Extreme Masters Cologne. It was obviously with a different support that time. But, you know, they want to get the revenge. This is a big game for them.
Yep, and apparently a couple of problems with the HUD there, which you would expect they'd do before the game starts, but who am I to say that? We've got the admin there behind them, and obviously their super manager, The Flight. Yeah. Get that one out there. We talk about how managers are important all the time. Well, Jason, how important is it in this case?
Well, I guess it all just depends on how good they prepared for it. I mean, the manager, he has to be in there helping his team, look at the replays of the other teams, make sure to kind of figure out their strats, figure out their level 1 wards. We've had N-rated, we've had Crepo on the analysis desk talking before about how important level 1 really is and how teams fall into a kind of repetitive motion where they put wards down, and you can really counter that.
Well, we are into game then, so let's jump in. Millenium, of course, on the blue side here with Rumble, Nunu, Cogmore, Varus, and Thresh. Fnatic on the red side with Lee Sin, Volibear, Kassadin, Caitlyn, Sona. Level 1, Jason, we talked a little bit about it. Are we going to see anything this time around?
I'm going to have to say, yeah. I mean, Fnatic, why not? It's a group stage at this point. They're just so solid from all the practice they've had these past couple of weeks, and they have a decent team behind that. At least they have the Silence and the Flip, but they are actually being very aggressive on this red side, so they want to take that away, and I'm curious to see if they're going to commit to it or maybe just back out, as Millenium was heading towards the red side of Fnatic. So we see pretty much simultaneous or similar wards from each teams here so far.
Yep, right now both Kassadin and Volibear are going to go over a ward. Tabs coming down here. They've seen Fnatic going into the jungle. There was a ward in the bottom side of the river, so they know that Fnatic are actually in there. The question is, are they going to do something stupid like face checking? You definitely wouldn't expect it at this point of the game, but we've seen crazier things happen. As Fnatic sat with 4 men here, ready and waiting. Kassadin just behind them in that river side. So I mean, Millenium, their safest thing to do here would be to completely back away. I mean, they're going for golems, which I think even that is a big risk for them. So we are going to see them take the small. Fnatic coming around. Fat Mama going to get hit by the Q of Lee Sin. Is forced to flash away, and that's an instant winner, as Soaz is going to get pulled there. A little bit of damage, but of course not too much able to come out from that one. And that was, for me, as I said, a risky play. But at this point, Millenium saying, well, you know what? We're going to go straight around. We're going to take your red.
Yeah, it was very risky, but if it pulled off correctly, it really would have worked. The silence from Xpeke came in at the perfect time, but Cyanide just wasn't in position to get that flip, and now because he was forced to take that, he's going to be really slow on this blue, so N-Raid's going to have to help him out quite a bit. And with that red being gone now, right now, Joe, that's a big loss for them, like you were just saying. And
he needs to cross over here straight away and go for that red buff. I mean, I'm So Fresh has already taken his. He's gone back, picked up his blue, and they're surely going to know that red buff's gone after that one. I mean, we are seeing pings going down on towards that ping ward, but Cyanide is actually heading up towards his wolf, so not sure if he will end up doing that, and that's going to be a win for Millenium.
Yeah, the thing is, they won't actually know where I'm So Fresh went exactly until he crosses into his own red jungle, but they don't have a ward to spot that, so they won't have that vision, they won't have the ability to kind of make a play. We do see a pull actually lay on N-Raid on the bot lane.
Yeah, very nice pull there. We've already seen one coming out of Fat Mama. Both AD carries are already up to level 2, as we see Fat Mama just picking up all the souls.
That's what you do as Thresh.
That's what you got to do. As we've seen from in European LCS quite a lot. And Cyanide now going to go to his red buff and realise that there's not really much there ready for the taking. His I'm So Fresh actually will start to work his way back into that jungle. It looks like he wants to try for an invade from the Tribush side, which actually is warded at this point.
Yeah, or maybe even a counter invade here. And Joe, we never really touched on, we do see Yelster actually getting caught, but shouldn't really be taking too much damage. We haven't touched on the teleport. Actually, do we see it coming in anyways?
Yeah, teleport coming down here from Cyanide. The bear rushing down, but Millenium already underneath that turret. They'll be safe for this one. So we're only 3.5 minutes in. Already seen a bit of action as N-Rated going a little bit too far forward here. It's going to get pulled back. Can they finish it off here? This could well be first blood. He comes down. Thresh going to pick that one up as Yellow Star gets exhausted. They see Volibear coming back in. But that was strange move from N-Rated to go so aggressive there.
Yeah, it's a Sona. You can't afford to do that, especially when you don't have a barrier or any kind of real escape besides that flash. But in the meantime, Millenium, they're making a big play on that mid lane, knowing that teleport was down, knowing that they got that first blood, and to get another pull. Fat Mom has obviously been practicing that Thresh quite a bit.
Yeah, you can definitely see that one, not missing any of these pulls up until now and instrumental in picking up that first kill. I'm just not sure why N-Rated risked that, to be honest, and risked that poke going out when you know that Thresh can pull you straight in. Meanwhile, in this middle lane, because he's pecking in tabs, both at level 4, both definitely not what you'd call healthy at this point, as Cyanide gonna come running in from the side. Xpeke not really getting involved. Now Nunu coming in from that side, as we are going to see the flash in. Tabs is going to go for this one. Can they finish off Cyanide? One more hit, and so Fresh gets the kill.
And Millenium coming out so strong. That was well played overall. I mean, we saw Tabs actually flash in for that, knowing that Cyanide had no escape. They're going to get this turret off of that as well. They have a nice little bit of a goldie going on from here, but the real question is right now, can they take this advantage and use it as the game progresses? We've seen teams do this before where they, get the first turret, get first blood, maybe even get 2 kills, but they don't get that transition down properly, and we'll see if Millenium's been practicing that.
Talk to us a little bit about AP Kog'Maw, because we know as an AD, Kog'Maw starts off weak but gets ridiculously strong as the game goes on. By the end game, he's a beast. How's that going to be this time around, obviously, with it being an AP Kog'Maw? I say that, he's gone for Vampset to start the lane.
Actually, yeah, he is going AD Kog'Maw. Yeah. I think all of us thought he was going AP, but still, it really caught me off guard as well. I didn't even notice that while looking at his runes and masteries, but, AP Kog'Maw isn't terrible, but I don't really go into it too much since we are dealing with an AD, but having that Nunu in the jungle, we were talking about it, he's not support, he's in the jungle, he's a little bit slow. It's going to make him go insane in these fights. They have a really strong AD team. It's up to English to build their real heavy AP, and hopefully I'm so Fresh is going to build up that tankiness that they're going to need in this fight, because if you look over Fnatic's side, they have a really strong front line with that Volibear, with that Lee Sin.
Yeah, and you can see that Kog'Maw already got a lead on Cassidy in terms of the CS. Okay, did go back in that last one, as Angush here may find himself in a little bit of trouble shortly. He's keeping a decent distance, doesn't know, as far as I can tell, that Cyanide is actually in that top bush. But Cyanide, in the end, is going to start to work his way back. Angush obviously does have Flash available, uses Ignite early on, but Cyanide has left anyway, and that is Angush pushing the towers through. He's got a 10 CS lead, Soaz should be able to bring that back here underneath his own turret, though.
And Joe, I remember casting Millenium at the European qualifiers for LCS, and Angush, he just didn't seem to impress us. He was forced into his Jax role a couple times when he necessarily didn't want to, but we're used to him being a dominant force in that top lane, and right now, I mean, he's winning CS, which you should be able to do as Rumble against a Lee Sin, but he's not looking too bad. Looking like Millenium, like that time off they've been taking seriously. They didn't really let it get to him not qualifying, and they really want to win the World Championship. Why not?
And we asked RNA about that whole scenario back at LCS, and he said, yeah, we didn't qualify, but we still have a chance at the mid-season. So these teams that aren't in LCS, yes, they don't have that regimented Saturday, Sunday, or Friday in the case of Super Week. They don't have those games, but that doesn't mean that they're not practicing. And as RNA said, the teams that aren't in LCS are actually they're really in demand right now, because these LCS teams want to practice with teams that aren't going to be able to see their strategies and make it count later.
And considering you're at the World Championships of the Intel Extreme Masters, actually we'll have to hold on a second, as you do see, so Fresh might get caught here, actually might go down and lose some buffs.
Well, we'll have to see. He's double buffed up right now, and that's what Fnatic were really aware of, as we are going to see Cyanide pressure. Then Rated comes in around the side. He's forced to flash the threshold miss. Well, I'm so Fresh going to pick up the kill, and again, I'd have to question the positioning coming out of N-Rated into that one. Not sure it was really needed.
Well, we really have to get credit to Millenium here, though. They know the threat. They know Xpeke is cast in, so what they're doing is denying that blue buff, denying him that snowball effect that he can really have in a game. And this is exactly what you have to do against a Caston, an AP Nidalee, an Anivia. As long as you take those blue buffs away over and over and over again, that AP mid's not going to be strong.
And that's one of the other advantages that Millenium and some of the other teams have to come in here against the LTS teams, that they've had the ability to watch them over and over and over again. We're only 4 weeks into that European LCS, but they've already played 10 games or 9 games, I think, Fnatic up until now. So they've already played a lot at this point. That's a lot to watch. 11 games. Yeah, it was even less.
I mean, we've seen just because they've not been holding back. Fnatic, I mean, every team in LCS has been trying as hard as possible, taking every new strategy they can, and that gives Millenium a huge advantage looking into this. As you saw, they put an AD Kog'Maw middle. They took away that blue buff. They knew exactly what Fnatic was trying to do, and they're outplaying them in every way possible at this point.
Well, Angosh again pushing a wave into Soaz's turret. He went back, and he's going to lose a good 5-6 creeps from that wave as well. Nunu going for Spirit Stone plus the boost of mobility up till now. Ruby Crystal we see in the top lane there. Rumble just picking up that Seeker's arm guard. obviously the newest item into the game. Brutalizer coming out of SOAS. So now that early mid game, I guess we can call it, is where SOAS can really shine with that Lee Sin, and that's what he needs to do at this point for Fnatic.
That's what we've seen him do before on Lee Sin. He'd be really aggressive, really deny a lot of CS, but it seems like Anguish has kind of been, well, actually, we haven't even seen I'm Fresh visit the top lane yet, so he's just been outplayed on one-on-one and even, partly one-on-two where we saw Sana come into the top lane. And obviously, Lee has a hard time against Rumble, but Anguish with the Seeker's arm guards, he's just tanky enough at this point to deal with any damage that SOAS has. And if SOAS can't start snowballing really quickly, he won't have that damage late game. He'll have that utility from the ultimate, which is kind of what they're counting on if they land that flip, but the damage is going to be a major problem.
So here we go. They've spotted Cyanide's position. Answer Fresh position at the bottom is kicked. Tabs is going to get kicked out there. Actually will flash away as the teleport comes down for Peke. And I tell you what, they're going to dive in onto this one. Barrier used. Tabs here actually sticking to the back as the equalizer comes down as well. Soa's going very low. He's forced to flash away. Maybe Anguish will get caught out now as the damage comes in. There's the Nunu ultimate. It's going to be enough to secure them the kill onto Cyanide.
And that was 2v4 for the longest time right there. Actually, Thresh coming in Fat Moment does catch Unrated.
Rated in trouble, the box is down, and there is the finisher. Yellow Star did manage to take off Anguish, but they may have even more. There's a flash, the snowball coming out. Varus gonna flash in, barrier used by Yellow Star. Where's the E out of Creaton? That's all he needs to finish off. He actually came after he'd secured the kill. What a fight for Millenium.
And holy crap, Xpeke actually waited in that mid bush trying to go for Tabs in the back because he saw him pushing up, but what happened was Tabs actually landed on the lantern, got pulled away as Xpeke flashed in and Riftwalk after him. What a great play. I mean, it was probably not on purpose, but still worked out for them in the end. And Millenium up 6-1 right now, Joe. Going into this game, I didn't really expect it to be like this. I really expected Millenium to have a tough time, but they're showing Fnatic up, and that's no easy feat.
That is definitely no easy feat. As we are seeing Bill's water colors coming out of both Varus and Cogmore at the start. It's pretty much identical builds.
I wonder what we're going to see.
They've gone down the line.
Probably the Blade of the Rude King, which seems to be the flavor of the month since... Well, the thing is, it's not the perfect item to go for yet. They need to have at least like 1,500 health or more to make it really worthwhile. Obviously, as the game does progress on, it will benefit you, but at this point, not really the ideal item. And Fnatic popping down that ward, going in for that teleport. We didn't even mention that Fnatic's running 2 teleports at this point, but they should be able to get this dragon. Oh, but actually, Millenium might not even have him. Let them even have it.
Ward actually comes in, dragon down to half HP as SOAS going to get hooked back towards the wall, but Smite coming out of Cyanide will get that for them. It's actually a 3,200, 3,300 gold lead right now for Millenium. 6-1 in kills, 1-0 in turrets. They're doing a really solid job, but are they going to have that teamwork? It's something that Panky touched on earlier, that they're definitely 5 amazing individual players, but at LCS we saw the teamwork was lacking for them, and to beat a team like Fnatic, even when you get an early lead, you've got to have that team play in there.
Yeah, and we'll see just how good Millenium is, because if they can hold on to that lead and turn it into a victory, they'll have overcome the biggest problem that most new teams have. We do have a 4-man push on that bot side as Anguish still on the top, trying to go for that turret, and this is applying a nice little bit of a split push pressure. That's so hard to say. In my head, it sounded a lot easier.
Well, they've got 4 men there, so they shouldn't really have too much of a problem as Xpeke is going to Riftwalk over the wall. Varus ulti came in, he got hooked. There is the kill. Creator now on a killing spree at 3-0-1.
And that is what's so damn deadly about a Thresh. You land that Q onto them, they can't move, they cannot get away, and we've seen that happen with against EG. We're frogging on AP Nidalee, where you're so slippery. As long as you get hit with that, you can lock them down with the Varus ultimate behind it, and then not to mention the Blood Boil Kog'Maw. There's no escaping that. And Millenium now up 7-1. The goal lead is starting to lengthen even more, but SOAS is able to push his top side. But to me, I mean, you do need to get these outer turrets for Fnatic. You need to get some sort of gold coming in, but you can't really afford to have these fights going on where it's 4-on-3, where you lose a turret and you lose, potentially 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, so I was actually going to take this top turret down to at least half HP as Anger's going to come around the side. That's going to force SOAS to back away. He's actually got the level on him there, and it's forced to use the kick to stay safe. So SOAS, we've seen him, he played this Lee Sin in the lane in LCS, was absolutely ridiculous with it as well. He's just not feeling comfortable against Anguish.
Yeah, it was against a Shen that time too, which is not really easy to go up against. Obviously, you should be able to beat him, but with how far he out CS that Shen at that time was just insane. And Joe, I think the next action, we just saw Drag go down. I think it's going to come around that blue buff again. We talked about it before. If they can get Xpeke with that blue buff, or sorry, if they can deny it from Xpeke, then you're going to pretty much keep him out of the game for quite a bit longer. He only has 75 CS, that 1 assist, and a Haunting Guise and a tier at this point. Not doing too much damage, but But still, you're up against a squishy backline of Millenium. If he can get back, if he can get some sort of item, get in the back, he will be able to catch them and pick up some kills.
Wow, equalizer used there by Rumble. Did he just steal away the red buff with that as well?
Yes, he did.
He stole the red buff with that equalizer. Nicely done from Angush. I'm so impressed with Millenium. Honestly, I did not expect this coming into this one. Maybe that's just me being a little bit blind to things, but they're certainly looking on top of the game. As again, 3 men gather in the top lane. They've got minions coming through. Middle lane is actually being pushed back by Fnatic, but Millenium going to go straight in for this one. Blood Boil, of course, on Creatine. They're going to lose a middle outer turret for that one. Yeah, they may end up losing 2 from that one. In the end, Fnatic looking like they will back away as Tabs comes around. Millenium still shoving up this top lane.
You know, one thing we kind of forget about, Yellowstar actually in the mid lane does get caught by Thresh, but they don't commit onto it. One thing I was trying to say is that we kind of forget about the teams who didn't get into LCS. They're kind of like the prime teams to practice against when you are in the actual the league. So they get a lot of extra practicing against these teams. They see strategies that, those teams won't necessarily release just yet. We do have a teleport coming to the top lane. Cretin might get caught here.
Yeah, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Actually, will throw the ultimate down onto Peke, but he'd already rift walked. It only stopped him right in front of him. And that will be Peke shutting him down. He tried his best there, Cretin, but, well, when he's hit the rift walk before the ulti actually lands and he's rooted right in front of you and he can still auto-attack, well, it didn't really do much.
I think he could have killed him, actually. He didn't use his Blade of the Rune King on that. A little bit surprised, because that gives him extra health, does some extra damage right off the bat. I'm pretty sure he could have killed Expect if he did use that. A little bit unfortunate. But still, I mean, Millenium is trying to take advantage of this. They are pushing up. They're keeping a lot of wards in the jungle of Fnatic. And maybe N-rated, it's not exactly that 20-minute point, but without a GP10, I don't really think he can afford an Oracle at this point, because if you lose that, I mean, obviously it's only 5 minutes long, but if you lose it within the first couple of minutes, you just wasted 400 gold that you're not going to get back.
Yeah, certainly right with that one. Fnatic, as you said, just don't really have that gold to be spending right now. They're having to roam around the jungle as a pack because they know that the wards are down there, not wanting to get caught out. And they're having to really utilize these jungle creeps. There's the individual gold score. Let's have a look in the middle lane. 600 gold for the Kog'Maw over the Kassadin. 80 carries where the real difference is at, though. 1,500 gold difference between Varus and Caitlyn.
And not to mention, that's just a bunch of CS at this point. They were able to defend that turret, and that all stemmed from N-rated, unfortunately, getting caught at the bot lane, getting that first blood onto him. Once you start losing that lane like that, and you're against like very aggressive lane like they currently have, you can't really survive that damage. We don't see any sort of big health item on them. We don't see any Dorn Shield, which has kind of been the typical build that Philostone into a Dorn Shield.
And one great thing is that this group, if Millenium can continue this, if they can actually win this game, it completely blows this whole group open, because honestly, I don't think a lot of people will look into Millenium to provide those big wins against the massive lineup of teams that we've got. But so far, showing some real promise in this one. They've got a 5k gold lead. They're going for this inner middle turret right now as Kassadin is going to get involved. Peke takes a lot of damage on the way through as the crescendo comes in, but Enrayton can't afford to stick around there. And in the end, Millenium just pulling him away, and they're going to concentrate on this tower. They're going to be tanking it up between them. The Kog'Maw ultimate coming out is going to secure than the turret.
But look what they did. I mean, they saw Soaz in the top lane, they saw Yellowstar at the bottom. Why not 5-med push to that mid lane? You blow a couple of ultimates, you get them to blow a couple of ultimates and summoners, and you get a free turret off it. Now they're just going to back away with that extra gold, the extra map control they get off of that, and buy up some new items. I wouldn't be surprised at this point to see Fat Mom actually pick up an Oracle. We're getting close to that 20-minute point, and with all those, we have 2 tier 2 turrets down in mid and bottom. You kind of really need to control the jungle at this point.
Yeah, and that could be the difference in this game if they can do something like that. As Pink Ward is put over by the Baron. We see that Fnatic headed down towards Dragon, which has been up for a little while now. Not sure if Millenium are going to be able to react to this one. They're too far away from it. It's going to go over. Picked up in the end by Soaz. So nice little pick up there from Fnatic. That's the kind of thing that they need to do when they're falling behind in other things with the turrets.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's really keeping them in this game at this point. I mean, they're trying to see us as much as possible, but they're falling behind in every lane. I think Soaz is actually the only one to catch up in his own. And not to mention, you have 2 Blade of the Rune Kings already built over from Millenium. You have a Kog'Maw with a Nunu behind him. You have the Varus percent max health damage. You do actually have Enrayed getting caught. We just flashed over that wall.
Flashed again, and
they're keeping that on cooldown permanently on him.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if this is all a tie of this thing right now. Cyanide going to get caught out by the Varus ultimate in the middle, gets a flip over, but it wasn't flipping enough.
And the only thing we should also touch on is getting Sona to blow that flash, that is really key, because we're always used to seeing Sona's flash crescendo you and catch your team off guard, but by denying that summoner spell, you pretty much eliminate any chance that Fnatic can be aggressive against you. Now they're pushing this inhibitor turret.
Yeah, they are going in there. Fat Mama takes a lot of damage off to the side. He'd be a vital target, to be honest with you, to get that hook out of the game, as I'm So Fresh does lose a lot of health, goes back into...
I think he was trying to click the lantern.
Yeah. Pretty weird, that one. I think he actually did go back to
Cyanide into the mid lane. He's coming in.
Yeah, he's going to come in. There's the box, though. The 99% slow goes down onto everyone from Fnatic, but Peke going to dive in on towards Anguish. Can they get the finisher here? It's so very close. The Lee Sin Q will land, and that is the kill. Nice turnaround from Fnatic.
Yeah, very nice turnaround, and all capitalizing on that one mistake out of I'm So Fresh. I'm not sure if he even use a lantern when you're silenced. Maybe that was actually the point, because he was silenced by Peke, but getting those 2 kills gives him a little bit of extra grip into this game. And Fnatic, we know a team like them, if they can get that sort of advantage back, or if they can start snowballing the game, they're going to take it from you. And Millenium, it's up to them to control this game and lock it down. They have 2 AD carries. I mean, Baron, if they wanted to go for it, would die instantaneously. Well, not that quick, but very quick, Joe.
Slightly instantly.
But they have such a good team for it. I mean, you have the Nunu Consume, you have the Blood Boil, you have the percent health off Varus, you have the percent health off Kog'Maw, and then you have a good defense with Rumble and with Thresh. It's very easy for them to take, and yet they just haven't gotten the balls to do it yet.
Well, I'm sure they will do at some point. Problem is, are they going to be caught out another few times by Fnatic, who you can't give them any room to breathe in a game like this. Yes, you've got the advantage. It's a solid one as well for Millenium, but they take their foot off the pedal at any point in this game. A team like Fnatic will absolutely punish you for it.
And the thing is, that might have actually been shown at the Dragons. They've lost all 2 of them so far this game, giving them over to Fnatic. They had great control of the game entirely, but they let that go every single time. If they let a Baron go to Fnatic somehow, then it's pretty much them just losing the game themselves. They're going to have to look at that replay and just be like, oh man, we totally lost that game because we didn't do something as simple as taking Dragon when we were, near it.
Well, if anyone can steal Barons, then it's Cyanide, that's for sure. However, it doesn't quite have flash to get in here, or he'll just teleport in over the wall. No problem for that. Who needs a flash when you've got the teleport in there? But Millenium, as we said earlier, need to keep this warding up. They have got quite a few on this top side. You see Fat Mama here, just making sure that the vision is perfect for them. This red buff going to be stolen away, given over to Creaton, I can imagine. Yep, there is that. He's got a static shift now on top of the Blade of the Ruin King. On the other side, Caitlyn has gone Infinity Edge, along with those double Doran's blades. What else do we have? Kassadin. Bit of everything, really. Got the Tier in there, got the Catalyst in there, got the Haunting guys. But once those, once he starts to finish off those items, then he's obviously going to become a lot more powerful. But right now he is behind in CS, obviously 2-1-2 he kills, and we know how strong of a Kassadin he is. They are going to all jump in there. The Crescendo only catching one of them, but it might just be enough. Cyanide and Raider taking a lot of damage. That's a full channel coming out of Nunu. Flashing front tads. They're going to take down Volibear as well. Can they get onto Xpeke? He goes low. He's forced to flash away. Gets shielded up by Lee Sin. But Millenium have not lost a man as they pull Yellow Star. AD carry gets destroyed. And Xpeke has to Rift Walk again back towards base. He should heal before he even thinks about coming back. What another brilliant play out of Millenium.
Home guard of Kassadin coming in.
Yeah, but can he finish off a group like this? Let's have a look. Wow. Rift Walk comes down, but look at Tabs absolutely hammering away on him. Needs a shield again from Soaz. And he kind of focused on the rest of the team. I don't think he really realized that Taz was still there hitting him.
He just did that much damage with only one major item completed. Doesn't have a zeal or anything like that. Wasn't critting, was just doing pure damage to Xpeke. And a great job by Millenium to just take advantage of a mistake. I mean, we saw, you mentioned during the team fight that Reddit unfortunately only hit Fat Mama. And you can't really afford to do that with the Crescendos when they're all grouped up. And even that was with Cretan actually getting caught by Soaz. It just didn't seem like Fnatic was able to collapse in on him in time.
Yeah, I mean, if you kind of compare the items right now, this pure AD beastiness that they have, I don't know, find another word to say it. I mean, double Blade of the Ruin King coming out there, so we do have a pause in game currently. I look like Tabs actually disconnected, so hopefully that a little bit gets sorted out here. But you can see that Fnatic on your screens. Cyanide not looking too comfortable with how things are going at this point. I mean, there's not a smile to be seen on the Fnatic faces, that's for sure.
And that's kind of weird because you're used to seeing N-Rated always having a smile on his face. But, I mean, they realize this game hasn't gone the way they thought. Millenium is much more of a challenge than they expected, and it's up to them to get back in the game. They have to take those advantages. They can't let those crescendos miss. They got to land those every time. They need to collapse together as a team. Not sure, why they're not playing exactly like we saw them, last week. It's a little bit odd, but you can't really take away the credit from Millenium. They've been playing a fantastic game.
Well, hopefully everyone's going to reconnect to the game there. You can see Mr. Abholzen from Riot Games actually stood behind the players on his radio, obviously trying to make sure that everything gets fixed from that side. But right now, just to break down the game and what we have at this point, 11-5 in kills to Millenium, 33.5 to 28.2 thousand gold to Millenium, 6-1 in turrets to Millenium. They've got a really, really strong footing in this game, but can they actually finish it?
Well, we'll find out if they can pick up that Baron. And Joe, it's kind of funny having only a 5,000 gold lead with this many kills and this many turrets over your enemy team. That's not necessarily a good sign. I mean, it's not a bad sign. You're ahead in every way.
Well, it's been countered a little bit by those 2 dragons that Fnatic have managed to pick up there. But yeah, a couple of dragons, that's all well and good, but they need more than that here, Fnatic.
Well, I mean, if any teams to do it, they definitely can. And taking a look at just, we should probably talk about the items just a little bit because Xpeke has been shut down. I mean, he's been shut down this entire game so far. He hasn't been able to accomplish anything, doesn't have any major items completed, was forced to go with the home guarded boots right off the bat just to protect his own base. We see Soaz wasn't able to really get anything going in his lane, but now sitting at 1-0-3, has a Hex Drinker built up, has a Brutalizer, even has a Giant Spell on top of that. So he's starting to finally get back in the game. And if he can keep catching... So what about
Hex Drinker against this very AD?
Well, Rumble does a lot of magic damage.
Well, yeah.
Varus off his W deals magic damage, so does Kog'Maw, so it helps out. I mean, it's a temporary item you can get. You stack that with the Runic Bulwark, and you don't need any more magic resist against a team like that. But, the Infinity's Edge on Yellow Star, he hasn't really been able to get the attack speed he needs to kind of keep up with the enemy team, because you have to look at it this way. If Imsa Fresh lands 1 snowball on him, his attack speed's gone. He's not going to be hitting you this entire fight.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It looks like we're almost ready to go right now. All the players have got themselves back into the game. And apparently the admin told them already to go from this one. So we are going to be getting back underway. The question that's going to be answered here in the next few moments is, can Millenium finish off this game against Fnatic? This would be an upset, without a question. I mean, this would be an upset.
And you have to point out that they actually lost to Gambit in the game before, so that's kind of a harsh thing to go into, to kind of refresh your mind and say, forget about that last game, you have to focus on this next one. And most teams who are very emotional really can't do that.
Yeah, that's always a difficult one. We are going to be seeing now Millenium grouping around that Baron. There is a pink ward down, so they know there's a ward in the back there. Xpeke actually here in the bush. You see the amount of damage that comes down on towards Tabs, but crucially not getting the finish. It looks like Millenium are going to be looking for their 3rd inner turret of this game, the last inner turret actually that's left standing on the top side. But look at Fnatic setting up a trap here inside of their own jungle, but will Millenium fall for it?
I think Fnatic's finally found the chink in Millenium's armor, because if they can get into that backline on the Tabs, you saw how much damage Xpeke did with really no items completed. If you can take him out of the game, that's so much damage that Millenium loses out on, and then you only really have that Rumble and Varus to help you out. Obviously, Thresh and Nunu won't do too much damage. And with that pink ward down, I mean, they're starting to try to go for Baron here, but the thing is, when you're in that pit, Cassidy has a free reign over you to hit you. I mean, he can get in easily from behind, get in from the front, and not to mention, we could see Sana teleport in and try to go for a steal, as you mentioned before. He's probably one of the hardest junglers to secure a Baron off of.
So, Xpeke having to defend that base, so there's only 4 men. He does have teleport, though, if he needs to be called in towards that fight. Millenium starting to push things down. That Kog'Maw ulti going to be good poke to the back. They pulled Soaz, not the target that they were looking for. Probably would have been different if that would have landed in on towards Yellow Star, but the turret already down to less than half HP. Tab's going to tank up 1 hit, but he's pretty much gone from this. The next wave of minions is coming in just from that backside, so they should be able to finish off now.
And with Xpeke back in base, just defending with the home guarded boots, he has that teleport available, but there's only currently 1 ward actually up in the jungle of Fnatic to kind of stop this. But with that inhibitor being down, they are just going to give away that turret, and it's a lot more gold going over to Millenium. But Millenium doesn't have Baron at this point. They have to be very careful here, because they could potentially lose the game at this point if they do get aced. Oh, jeez, that was actually really close to Yellow Star, and if he gets caught, they're definitely not going to survive this fight.
Yeah, I'd imagine if they land that hook onto Yellow Star, they'll go straight in. They'll go all in to get those kills to start things off. You see Lee Sin and Caitlyn between them trying to force them back, but Millenium looking very determined at this stage to be taking that inhibitor turret. As the Q will land again, Soaz again will get pulled back, as we are actually going to see them go for it. There's a crescendo from Enrated. Big fight kicking off as Nunu going to get a good channel out. Actually picks up the kill on Cyanide. Soaz will go down as well. Yellow Star's on the top side. Where are they trying to chase into here? Creaton will land in, and now Peke gets hooked in there. Actually, the Virus ultimate did land onto him as well. Can they finish off the kills? Creaton going very, very low. Peke getting healed up. There was the retreat from the Lantern. Now Angush being chased down. Peke coming in from the backside. They could kill Peke here. The Q from Varus just about dodged, but the minions do take him down.
What a crazy fight overall. Millenium with the focus firing down of everyone in Fnatic that came at them. But Xpeke, a brilliant play by him overall in that game. He kept getting into the backside, kept forcing Tabs to stay away and forcing him to just be defensive when he needs to be attacking the enemy team. Fnatic, it's not a bad trade for them, to be honest. I believe it was a 3 for 3 or 3 for 2. 3 for 1. Maybe it's 3 for 1. Maybe it wasn't that good of a trade for Fnatic.
Let's just make the numbers up as we go along. It was a close one, let's call it that. So that still leaves us though with this 5,000 gold leave, the 5,000 that Fnatic have not been able to bring back still. Turret lead is massively in favour of Millenium, 7-1. I'm So Fresh running here with that Blood Boil on, with the boots of mobility as well. He is very, very quick getting around this map. Red buff not going to be able to be challenged by Fnatic. This is going to be going over to one of those two ADs, into Tabs in the end. But what are they going to go for next? Xpeke finally going to get a blue buff to work with.
The thing is, Millenium, they want to go for Baron. I mean, they have the ability to do it. With that middle inhibitor being down, Supermans are going to keep pushing up. But they didn't invest into Oracle to secure, just the jungle vision, because you could bait Fnatic in for a Baron and pick up a couple of kills and then take it then. But I'm not really too sure on what exactly Fat Mom is going for.
Xpeke there, just having to rift walk away, almost getting caught out. Did get hit there with the snowball, but I'm So Fresh is pretty tanky right now. Got the Legion, Agents of the Legion is there. We are going to see them getting the grab. Ulti comes out from Varus. Yellow Star going to go down. Tabs gets the kill there. Xpeke in a lot of danger as well. Gets shielded up from Lee Sin right at the very last second. Lee Sin having to kick Nunu away from that, but that will already be a 1-0 here. The AD carry taken out of the game. Millenium, this is their time to shine as they get the grab on Peke again. Can they finish off this time around? Yes, they will. There is the crescendo coming out, but Cyanide gonna drop as well. And Rated should be an easy kill for Kog'Maw. They will go down to Kog'Maw, and that is 4 men down here by Fnatic. There are still 4 men left alive for Millenium. They've taken down that second inhibitor now, and they're gonna move in towards the Nexus turrets. Super minions coming in as well. Soaz the only one to really defend this one out, but they've lost the first inhibitor turret as they turn around, focusing onto Soaz. He's going to get back to the safety of Yellow Star, but the Nexus turrets are down. Can they finish off the game right here? Can they cause the first upset of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship? No, Creaton going very low. The Nexus is still being beat on, but they need to finish it off quickly here. And it finally, one more hit. Oh my God. One more hit. You've got to be kidding me.
Wow, I don't know what's going through Millenium's head right now, but that was really unfortunate for them. We even saw them flashing in to try to get into the backside of it to pick it up, but Fnatic, they could potentially rush Baron right now. I thought they were going to lose right there, Joe. I have no words for that. That was just, I have to say, a little bit of a mistake. It's just one more hit from any one of them would have finished off the game.
Absolutely incredible stuff. I can't believe that just happened to us, but look at the items again. Double Blade of the Ruin King, double Static Shiv. We've got that Infinity Edge now finished for Varus as well, but Fnatic are doing Baron. They've got the Baron down to almost half HP. Thresh is the only one in any kind of position to do anything, and they're not going to be able to stop this Baron being taken away. That is going to get finished off here by Fnatic, and that gives them a lifeline now. I mean, they've got no inhibitors. They've got no Nexus turrets left. They've got a Nexus which is probably still only on about half HP with its regen right now. In fact, it's not even at that at this point. So they've got to be real careful as Fat Mama and Enrated gonna have a slugging fest here as Enrated using the flash wise enough. I mean, you don't want to lose that player with the Baron buff. He may end up getting caught out anyways. I'm So Fresh comes in, gets pulled back towards him, and Rater going to walk straight in towards Cogmore. He'll take one for the team, but that leaves Millenium with a 5-on-4 advantage. Super minions are coming in as well as Cyanide going to get focused down so very quickly there by Millenium. Only 3 men left to take out. Will they even bother? Ulti goes down from Barason to Soaz. Creatine picks up that kill. Hit the damn Nexus. They need to finish the game off here, and they will do as Millenium beat Fnatic in the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. A turn up for the Bucks. Brilliant play.
That first big upset of the World Championships, and Joe, I have a feeling this isn't going to be the only one. Millenium just played phenomenal the entire game, taking advantage of every situation they possibly could, even though they had that minor whoops at the end. But still, Millenium, wow. Just what can be said about them right now?
Well, we're going to find out what can be said about them. So we're going to go over to our analysis desk with Jarrett Kale, of course, Quickshot, and Panky.
Incredibly strong performance in the opening game for Millenium. A little bit like we were hoping for. The surprise double AD carry pick again.
It was just well played. I want to touch on that as well. You know, we were talking about it so much during double AD carry. They both been played to the Ruined King. Just for everybody that's on stream and watching, this is patch 3.02. So this is prior to the changes where it was 15% max health. It is still just a base 150 plus a portion of your attack damage on top of that. So, you know, it's still very, very strong, but it's not what we were seeing on live.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic, they never really looked like a team during the course of their game. Not like the team we saw at LCS this weekend, that's for sure. I don't know how early they got here this morning. I don't know what their traveling situation was like yesterday, but they've only come from Cologne. It's not a big journey. It's not like flying halfway across the world like a lot of people. I know Millenium have come from the south of France, so they had a bit of travel, but there was just little bits of miscommunication. They weren't quite grouped as much as they should have been. There were some fights that didn't quite go the way they should. There's some very bad Sonar ultimates, to be completely honest.
Right at the beginning of the game, where Sonar was level 4, there was a number of Millenium players moving into the Fnatic jungle. Enrated turned back into 3 members at level 4. Burned Flash super early. It was just a couple of questionable mistakes.
I think it was more of he was on his way out, meant to plant a ward in the bush on his way out, missed it, turned around to try and get that cheeky plant in, was further away than he thought, had to walk back, got caught, and it's like schoolboy error, to be honest. The pro player in that situation should be, I'm leaving, they're in our jungle, I've got a ward, plant it, get his vision, plant it. He had to turn around, threw his life away in the process. But I mean, it mounted up. Millenium don't take anything away from them. They played it very, very well together. They're loving that strategy, the double AD carry. I mean, late game, that becomes so powerful, and it explains the Nunu pick. There are very few junglers you could do that with. He just becomes a second support towards the late game, and you just sit there with Thresh on one carry, Nunu on the other, and just keep them alive for as long as possible, and they will start to chunk through people. Speaking of that, Fat Mama on Thresh. I mean, Gambit, Edward, he's got to watch out. That was some phenomenal play. I don't think I saw a single hook miss. And every time it landed, it was on that target. It was on Peke, or it was on Yellow Star, and it won them the fight. It initiated the perfect fight. And every box was perfect.
Yeah, it was really, really good. He managed to hook everybody, catch them in. He actually secured first blood as well. It was a very dramatic first blood in that bottom lane. And we seen he caught Sona, he caught Cassidy, he caught absolutely everybody in the mid to late game. Unfortunately, we don't have any replays for you of that matchup just at the moment because of that little temporary disconnect in the middle of the game. It has caused a bug splat, which is a bit of a pain. So we will try and get that resolved. And yeah, it was just really, really well played all around. Millenium go 1-0 in the group. I'm going to see if I can find the result of the game that was on the second stream.
Yeah, I just want to touch back on that again. There were a couple of points in that game where Fnatic, I mean, you could see they were experienced, they were a team. They pulled it together and they started to slip behind, and they were making the plays. They got 2 Drakes completely for free because they had the timing, they had that communication in more than Millenium. There were a couple of points they were roaming around the jungle, pushing onto turrets when they just had that superior knowledge, that experience. But with their team comp, with the fact that they were already down 5, 6, 7,000 gold, it was just too little too late. So I want to see them wake up. I want to see the later games. They've had some food, had some lunch perhaps, had a couple of drinks, back in, quick talk, quick team prep. I mean, Harry's been around for the longest time. He's going to spur them on a bit.
They are going straight into the fire because the next game that they're going to be doing, it's CG enters Blaze versus Fnatic.
Playing like that against Blaze, we'll see a 20-minute game. They've got to back themselves up, but hopefully they will. But that being said, again, Millenium, I'm really impressed by them.
And I really like the double AD carry. I was attending the Church of Double Lift, and I had heard some preaching that the AD carries were going by the wayside. Might not even be in the next iteration as Meta evolves. And look at this, Millenium coming out saying, "What? No AD carries? We'll run 2 and just dominate." I mean, they were ahead CS in every single lane. They had 3 kills up. We thought the game was pretty much secured by the 10-minute mark until that very first engage, which really too bad we can't show you.
I want to touch on that as well because it was a really, really great move from Fat Mum. He actually flashed over the wall to land the death sentence. Like it was very ballsy play, very aggressive, and it managed to work out. And that was the one thing that kept working in their favor. They played aggressive. They kept getting the picks, kept getting the kills. They made a few missteps. I mean, there was a few individual mistakes that Millenium can also step back and go, well, we could have done that even cleaner. But, you know, it's a good start to them. It's a game, you know, a group of 5 games, and the fact that they got 1-0 out of 5, it definitely bodes well for them. On the second stream while that was going on, we did see Pain versus Incredible Miracle. I don't have an official update on that, but I think we can say Incredible Miracle may have had the advantage in that
They were definitely
matchup.
the favourite team.
Because they were blue side?
Yep. Touche. Shots fired.
Speaking of that, actually, because a lot of people will ask, blue side purple or blue side red side, sorry, is being decided by a coin flip just before they get into game, so we don't actually know how they're going to go yet. So unfortunately, we can't give you that who's on what side to give you any kind of help.
Yeah, we find out as soon as we see the champion select.
Yeah, so we'll go with that. We do have, as you say, what's the next game on stream?
It's going to be Blaze versus Fnatic.
Blaze versus Fnatic. So yeah, straight in there with Fnatic. Do want to see him pick it up. Blaze are going to watch that game. They're going to step back, got all the information they can. Probably feeling pretty confident about it, to be completely honest. They don't have to pick anything too crazy different. They know, and we all know how Fnatic love to run that double teleport. And it really wasn't very effective in that game. We saw one teleport gank from Peke up into the top lane later on. They did manage to kill Kraton, but ultimately, if he'd used his Rip Blade of the Ruined King in that fight, which he didn't, he'd have probably gone 1-for-1 and killed ex-Peke. He did not do that. Died 2-1, whatever. But it was 7-1 already at that point. Didn't really turn the tide of the game too much, so it's a minor detail. But ultimately, when you've lost that much map control, when you've lost that much map presence, teleport does become useless. That is his bonus. The presence you get, the teamwork you get, and the control you have on the map is where it's there for. And you don't have that, you got 2 useless summoner spells.
To Fnatic's credit, being down 5k gold at the 10-minute mark is often insurmountable, and that can snowball into, you know, horrible, embarrassing situation. But they actually managed, they stabilized the gold difference, and they, in fact, they shrunk it to, I think, at one point only 3k by picking up a couple of dragons, and they stuck together, and their cohesion was a little better at the end of the game than it was at the start. You didn't see, you know, Enraider running off by himself and dying or anything like that. So to their credit, I think that the second half was a lot stronger. They sort of lost the game in the first few minutes, so to speak, and couldn't quite come back from that initial deficit. But eager to see what they do against Blaze.
To be ready. I believe Shox is on stage.
Perfect. Well, great. We'll go to an interview with Millenium on stage with Shox.
Yes. Hi, I'm here with Fat Mama. Can you tell us something about the team comp going in and stomping Fnatic with it? They had an 80 Kog'Maw there, and of course, first pick Trash.
Well, they pretty much gave us Trash, and we were a bit surprised because Trash is crazy OP. So any team would probably first pick him or ban him at this point. But we know that Fnatic likes to run a lot of TPs, and we thought about a strategy that would counter it, and like a double AD puts a lot of pressure. So basically Tabs can push mid all day while Peke is out roaming. And we just like play accordingly. Time all TPs, know when they're gonna TP, and just push.
You were a key player on the Thresh. Would you say you are better than the Thresh Prince, Edward?
I think Thresh is like, if you master the hook, it's not that hard to play. If you can land a skill shot, it's not that hard. But he's just crazy broken. Like, you'll land a hook and people die. Simple as that.
That was still very strong coming into this and beating Fnatic straight off the bat. Would you say you count it as an advantage that you got to watch all their LCS games, or would you call it disadvantage because you're not able to play against them?
Well, it's an advantage because we get to watch them and observe them, but it's a disadvantage because we don't get to play like that many good games each week. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess.
So who do you fear the most in this match? You made a strong impression right here, but who are you fearing?
Well, since Gambit is undefeated throughout all IEMs, I have to say Gambit, but I think Frost will have a good showing as well. So either Frost or Gambit.
Thank you very much, Fat Mama. It's time for a short break right now, and Fnatic, there's no rest for them because they're going to go up against CJ and his Blaze after the break. We'll see you in a second.